whatever. I don't care. Pleasant. Apparently that is the key word here. Pleasant. Oh, and of course, you know, the toy starts to have a demonic personality, you know. Hi, welcome to Queer Fudanshi, where I share LGBTQ and BL Media through news, reviews, and good conversation. My name is Devin Jackson Randall, and today is Friday, which means it's time for the 3-in-1 video, where I share news, reviews, and a random topic about LGBTQ or BL Media to talk with you guys in that opposite, reverse direction. Before I start with the random talk, I do have a few comments. First, just a heads up for this particular video you're watching. I'm still trying to figure out the mechanics and system of how I'm going to get these videos out. And so this video I've been recording on 3 different days. And so I'll have different outfits for that. The continuity will be a little messed up. Just a heads up. And then second, I figure for these intro videos, I'll be sharing like my weekly obsessions. They don't necessarily have to be about LGBTQ whatever, but I figure they'd be something interesting that I've found interesting in the last week and I would share with you guys. And first there is The Good Witch, which is actually a show on Hallmark. It was a movie series and now it's a TV series, and I've been watching it on Netflix. It's just about a New England town, a little New England town where a nice woman moves in. She moves in, creates a bed and breakfast and a little store, and she's essentially like this very light fantasy witch where like all the people who know her are benefited by her and lots of little magical stuff happens. It's just sweet, nice, and fun. And it's like a pleasant, just something to watch when you're bored and don't really want to do anything productive, let's be honest. And then second, HOT. I recently just got back into HOT, which if you don't know was a Korean boy band from 1990s. I love them. Like, I don't care that 1, I don't understand the language, 2, that this is I'm literally 2 decades behind. I actually Googled posters and everything. I'm in, and I just like, I need you to all know that I love them deeply and truly. So yeah, those are my 2 weekly obsessions. What about you guys? What have you lately been getting into? Let me know down in the comments below. And then, yeah, let's get on with the random talk. So since in the last video I talked about a BL topic, I thought in this video I would talk about a Western LGBTQ topic, medium, whatever. And in this video I'll be talking about Grey's Anatomy. Now Grey's Anatomy I have a long-standing history with, and that's partly because this is actually one of the longest running TV shows in America right now. I think it's in like the top 10. It's currently entering its 14th season, I think. Essentially for the premise of the show, it is a medical drama. It is starring Meredith Grey, and she is an intern who just starts at a hospital. And the night before, she ends up having a one-night stand with a man that she thinks is just nobody. She gets to the job and she finds out he is actually her boss. He is an attendant. She is also starting to learn who her fellow interns are and everything. This is one of those shows that it's very hard to describe because there's so much to it. And then on top of that, there's so much to the 14 seasons that like, how do I even approach the story? But essentially, what you need to know is that it is a story about medicine and about doctors. Especially in the beginning of the series, it was more about like the obsession or the need to be a doctor, to be a surgical doctor. And then the show evolves into what are their lives, what's going on with them outside of the ER, the OR, the operating room. The reason that I got into it was that this show's been going on since like 2005 or so. When I was growing up, I was in middle school around that time. My older brother and I shared a room. He never wanted me to be in there. And then on top of that, my grandmother spent a lot of time in the living room. So whenever I would go down to be there with her, she would be watching Grey's Anatomy. And so that's how I got into the show. And I've just been relatively watching for most of the time since. There's a few times where I've dropped off and picked it back up. What I think is so great about the show is that it really was thrilling in the first few seasons. It was about this obsession with surgery, with profession, this kind of need to be, this need to do, you know, and that was just so thrilling and fast-paced and amazing. The show was Emmy nominated for multiple episodes. Let me check to see if it was Emmy Award winning. And then on top of that, because of the show really having this large cast of characters, there are so many characters that you end up loving, that you end up really rooting for, that you end up really wanting to see what happens with them. And then going on to that, for those who like LGBTQ characters, there are two very prominent ones and then other ones that are like in the area for a few seasons or so. This is the part where it kind of gets into the spoilers, so if you are not interested in spoilers, go to this timestamp right here. Just go to that point in the little red line there. But if you're okay with spoilers, there are two prominent LGBTQ characters, one who is bisexual and one who is a lesbian. The bisexual character is one that starts early on in the series, like maybe season 2 or 3. She comes into the story. She first starts off as a straight character, and then she discovers and explores her sexuality. And that's really something that was wonderful, is that we still need more bisexual character representation. So having this character go through this whole trial of discovering her sexuality, exploring her sexuality, falling in love, getting married, and all that and more, that was really wonderful, and that's why so many people loved this character. And then also that's why so many people respect the actress, even after she has finished with the character. That's a spoiler. And then even more wonderful is that she ended up finding a wonderful character to fall in love with. She is happy, she is a peds doctor, she is supportive, she is hardworking, she's just great. That said, sadly, there are some problems that happen with the relationship. And this is from Shonda Rhimes' whole perspective as a writer of not everything is going to be happy, not every couple is going to work out right. Life people up, and you have to show that in your writing. What I think is wrong with Grey's Anatomy is that, sadly what's also right with it, is that it's going on for so long. We're at 14 seasons now, and sometimes I feel like the writers are just trying to figure out what to do with the characters and what the story. Part of that is that they keep on trying to come up with a drama for this show, and while yes, it's nice that it's true that life doesn't just end in a happy note. Life isn't just happy-dory every second of the day. But at the same time, there are moments where I really feel like this writing for the show really just tries to find drama for drama's sake. Especially in the last season that just passed, I think season 13. There was a whole storyline with one of the characters where he got himself into a court case, and then he and all the other characters involved just acted stupidly and out of character for the point of being angry and being full of drama. Now, of course, when you're in a situation like a court case, you will act angry and you will act out of your general personality, but it felt so written for the point of being sensational. And then on top of that, at the very end of the season, literally one character was like, "I'm dropping the charges," and the lawyer was like, "That's not how that works." And the writers were like, "Whatever, I don't care." But in general, is the show worth it? Is Grey's Anatomy worth the watch? I say definitely for the first few seasons, without a doubt. Please go check it out. The show in the first few seasons is masterful. It is engaging. It is exciting. It is about these people who are driven to be their full selves. They're driven to be the best professionals in their craft as they can be, and that just excites me every time I watch it. I literally sometimes rewatch Grey's Anatomy's first few seasons just because it is just good. That said, around a few seasons in, the show kind of loses itself in that it stops being a drama and becomes a primetime soap opera. Proceed with caution after a few seasons in, but I definitely say check it out. You can check out the show on Netflix again in America. Hopefully it's available in other countries in Netflix. If you can't, you can also try out different digital video formats like iTunes or Amazon Video. And then of course, if you really are committed to watching the show, you can buy the DVDs through sites like Amazon or eBay, whatever works for you. But yeah, that's it for this random talk. Do you guys have any other shows that you think I should talk about outside of the last week's queer reviews? Let's move on to the last week's queer reviews. So let's just get started with our first property, and this is Let's Meet Adam. Let's Meet Adam is a visual novel. In the story, it is a horror kind of scheme where the main character, who is Adam, this kind of like social media guru kind of guy, this aspiring actor in West Hollywood. He and his best friend Vince go to an escape room thinking they're just gonna have a good day of fun. And then they and 7 other gay men are trapped in this escape room with a murderer. And they have to figure out which one of them is the murderer and how to get out of these puzzle rooms and try to survive. If you guys want to check out this game, you can check out the link down in the description below. You can basically name your price for the game, but I recommend that you guys at least give the creator some kind of money because the game is worth the money. As for my own thoughts, it isn't just a BL twist, it is very much about like gay society in America. And then on top of that, the horror aspect is very intense. I'd say more like a thriller than horror actually, but it had me on my seat, at the edge of my seat when I was playing. I could not trust anybody because I'm like, you're a killer, you're the killer, you're the killer. And I was really just kind of, it really sunk me into the atmosphere of this everyone could die, everyone could be a murderer idea. And if you're interested in that kind of game, go check it out, really. It's good. Next we have Transrealities, which is an American webcomic. It's really more a comic, but I don't believe there's a printed version of it yet. Now, Liz is living out her regular life as a superhero, and then one day, a villain messes with the time stream, and then she has to confront not only her past and this new world around it, but also her past self before she transitioned. If you guys want to buy the comic, link in the description. It's only like $1.99 or something like that. The comic is okay, especially the second issue. It's the kind of dive in the story of like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Everything's different now. I'm trying to absorb everything that's happening. You know, it's that point in the story, so it's kind of a dip. The first comic, the first issue, was very, I can count. The first issue was very interesting and funny and witty, and it was like energetic. This one is kind of a deep dive, but hopefully it'll pick up in the next issue. I don't know, we'll see. Next we have Spotlight, which is an American film. It was actually an indie film that was around a theater, select theaters, last year. The story specifically follows a Korean American gay man named David. His parents are in a very bad financial situation, and so he tries to support them by getting a part-time job at a spa, an all-male spa, and that kind of brings out this kind of conflict that he has had within himself over his sexuality. And then on top of that, he also is trying to get into college, or at least his parents want him to get into college, but he really doesn't want to even do that. So all this is going on with him, and he's kind of just, it's a character story depicting all of that and more. This film kind of reminds me of Blue is the Warmest Color, in that it is very much an indie, artsy film. It's very much about like character analysis and like the creative ways to look at this person's life. But it isn't about entertainment per se. It's not about like, hey, you're going to enjoy this film and want to watch it a bunch of times again. If you guys want to check out this movie, check out your Netflix. Specifically in America, it is available. If you have Netflix in another country, it may not be available. Please check. And then of course, always in places where you can watch DVDs or digital videos, it's probably available like iTunes or Amazon Video, things like that. Next we have George, which is an American book. It is about George, a 4th grade trans girl. The story really follows George as she feels that she doesn't belong in the body she is born with, but everyone else assumes that she is a guy. And then on top of that, her school is putting on a play production of Charlotte's Web, and she wants so deeply and badly to be Charlotte. But again, everyone assumes that she is a boy and will play Wilbur. I like this story. It was a pleasant read. It was a fast read because as I got into it after like the 3rd chapter, I was just reading. I meant to make this last a week, and then I ended up reading it in like a weekend. Pleasant. Apparently that is the key word here, pleasant. If you guys want to check out this book, then of course, link in the description to where you can buy it, wherever you can buy a book, basically, online, and then maybe even at a bookstore near you. Next we have Handsome Devil, which is another indie gay film that kind of was out earlier and then didn't get as much attention. This is an Irish film, and it's depicting a dorm school, an all-male dorm school life, and the best friendship of these 2 roommates. Specifically, the story follows Ned and Connor. Ned is this social outcast. He is gay, and he gets teased about it all the time. And then Connor is this new boy who is also going to become the star athlete in their rugby team. And these 2 kind of seemingly completely different people end up forming this great bond and friendship, and then they kind of go through struggles because of that. If you guys want to check out this movie, link in the description, of course. It's in Netflix, where I watched it. But then, of course, like with Spa Night, you can probably find it in other video sites like Amazon Video, iTunes, things like that. As for my own thoughts, my basic non-spoiler thoughts, it was fun. As opposed to Spa Night, I would probably rewatch this movie again. It is kind of familiar in that it has a lot of the like coming-of-age, teen, gay story films, but that is fun. In a way, it's not distracting, it's just enough to be like, you acknowledge it, but you're still enjoying the film. And then on top of that, in the middle of the story, there is a bit of a twist. Not that big a twist, but there is a little bit of a twist that makes the story flow in a different way and makes it start to seem more interesting in a non-cliche way. Ultimately, this is a fun film just about friendship and about growing up and about how even when you're an adult, you don't really have all the answers. And I think it's fun and worth a watch, and like I said, I might even rewatch it at some point. To start with our news, let's fill up our queer quota by talking about DC Comics. Specifically, DC comic movies, though. A bunch of fans are petitioning for Wonder Woman to be bisexual in the 2019 film sequel to the original film that came out this year. This is specifically because Greg Rucka, who produced a Wonder Woman comic last year, stated that it was obvious that Wonder Woman was bisexual because of the fact that she originated in an island full of women. Turns out that 6,000 fans of Wonder Woman agree and want that to be represented in the next film. Do you? If you do, there's a link in the description to where you can sign the petition. Second, the latest Saw film is putting out a promotion for a blood drive. Specifically, Jigsaw is the latest in the Saw franchise, and in order to promote for the film, they're also promoting a blood drive that they're doing. This blood drive is being called All Types Welcome, and they are promoting it by showing pictures of nurses, of different LGBTQ, bisexual, gay, and transgender YouTubers and social media celebrities. They're doing this to protest the USA's strict rules on gay men and how they have to wait 12 months after having sex with another man in order to donate blood. So if you guys are interested in that, of course, you can check out the campaign, link in the description. Next, Kanye West is a gay fish in the upcoming South Park video game. This is a running gag that's been happening for years now. They made a joke in a 2009 episode of South Park, saying that Kanye West was gay, and a gay fish specifically. Kanye West then responded on his own blog saying that he didn't like being portrayed as an egomaniac and it hurt his feelings. And then that, of course, spurred them on to continue with the joke. And now they have added it into this upcoming video game, The Fractured But Whole. Yes, that's the title of the game. In the latest trailer, it's been shown that Kanye West is a gay fish in the game. In that, not only that, but he's trying to get his dead mother into fish heaven. Honestly, okay, I'm with the running gag, whatever, you know, so on and so forth, but it's been known now for a while that Kanye West was deeply devastated by his mother's death. So let's not bring in his mother into the joke of it. I just say, let it go. On top of that, we have some more stories concerning the Fractured Butthole. In this new game that's coming out soon, they also announced that depending on what kind of character you pick to play, the game will change in different ways. If your skin tone is darker, you will find the game to be at a harder difficulty. If you play as a woman, you will get less money at the end of each battle. If you play as transgender, you will have an additional scene where the school principal will try to speak to you about the fact that you are transgender. I have mixed feelings about this. I think at the very least, yes, they made a joke of it, but at the very least they tried to make it like a heightened joke, you know, with some actual social commentary, so it's okay. I understand what they were doing with this. Next, Spider-Man fans are pleased to find the two actors from the recent Spider-Man Homecoming film agree with the idea of a transgender Spider-Man. This is an idea that's been going on the internet for a little bit, and on Tumblr, if you don't know, Tumblr has this occasional ask me, answer me, whatever kind of Q&A sessions with random celebrities that they can get. And two of the actors from the latest Spider-Man film, Jacob Bateman and Laura Harrier, were part of this latest Q&A session. And somebody asked what their thoughts were on the idea of a transgender Spider-Man, and they said, so what are your thoughts on this? Would you approve of a transgender Spider-Man in the comics and then maybe eventually in the films? Let me know down in the comments. Next, the Amazon Video film Transparent has released a scene with a totally naked transgender character. This is something that hasn't happened before in general TV mediums or streaming mediums, and it's one that hasn't been used to sexualize the character, to fetishize being transgender. It's just a candid look. In the scene, Alexandria Billings' character is texting, and she happens to get surprised by one of the texts that she receives and jumps up to reveal her naked body. Alexandria Billings has stated that this was actually her idea from the beginning. She told the Daily Beast that, "I asked for this specifically. I don't think it's ever been done before where you see someone who's a trans body that was pre-op, especially of a certain age, who looks a certain way. I wanted to show everything, but I said I don't want to be objectified, I don't want to be sexualized, and I don't want to be fetishized." I thought the creator Jill Soloway's way of showing it was brilliant. Next we have some BL bits for you guys. First we have a live action film that's going to be coming out next year. This will be a live action version of the yaoi manga Hana wa Sakuka, or Do the Flowers Bloom. The film will follow Sukerugi Watanabe as Yoichi Mizukawa, a 19-year-old art student who begins a romantic relationship with Kazuaki Sakurai, a 37-year-old professional advertising agent, after the two meet at a TV commercial shoot. As the two men grow closer, complication in Kazuaki's work life threaten to drive a wedge between the two. This film is currently planned to be aired next spring of 2018, and then of course eventually that Japanese film will find its way on the internet, I'm sure. Next, we finally have a release date for the short form BL anime that I talked about literally last year, just maybe off by a couple months. This short format anime series that I'm talking about is Teisho Chichai-sam line, although specifically that is the name of the original BL visual novel, and the short form anime will be called Teisho Chichai-sam, or Chichai. Sorry, pronunciations. Anyway, essentially the story will follow a young schoolboy during the Teisho era in Japan. He leaves his home with his trusted sword, his only real family possession, and he goes to live in a new town, in a new school, and he finds out that he not only has the power to see ghosts, but that the people around him have the power to, well, other different supernatural powers. And then of course he is then skyrocketed into a mysterious political storyline. That's all I'll say for that. But then in addition to that, this new short form anime will be, instead of the very serious story that the visual novel had, it'll have more of a lighter tone to it. All the characters will be in chibi forms, smaller forms, and everything. So it's light formed, it's lighthearted, it's short, like probably 5 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more. Formatting for each episode. Go check it out, and it'll be coming out just like next week, October 6th. Lastly, I have some Kickstarters for you guys. First, the complete and printed version of Girls with Slingshots. This is a popular webcomic that started in 2004 and recently finished, and now this is trying to get its own printed book version. You can back it on Kickstarter. The story particularly follows, well, first off, these two best friends, and it follows their lives as they discuss things like sexual health, sexual orientation, depression, things like that. And then the story transitions and blossoms to cover a whole bunch of other characters as well. If you guys are interested, link in the description. Second, we have Magic Hate Ball, which is a live action film. It is supposed to be a kind of comedic film that will follow a young man who has just gotten broken up by his boyfriend, who, after he found out that the boyfriend was cheating on him and gave him an STD. And then after that, he's kind of like lost in the what went wrong of the breakup. And he finds a magic 8-ball. He asks it, "Will you tell me what to do in my life?" It says yes. And then a kind of comedic but slightly demonic story follows after he uses this magical toy to tell him what to do in his life. Oh, and of course, the toy starts to have a demonic personality. That's under the bridge. But essentially, if you guys are interested in this Kickstarter, link in the description. Thirdly, there is the Bi-ble, which is essentially an anthology of essays and different writings on bisexuality. It's essentially a book an anthology full of writings about what it means to be bisexual in all different formats, so on and so forth. If you guys are interested in that kind of book, link in the description to where you can back it and help it become a reality. And lastly, we have Fujoshi trapped in a Seme's Perfect Body, Volume 4. First, I have to once again state that I am not a fan of this book series. That said, I support the yaoi army and Jobaru, who create the series, and so I'm just letting you know that it is out there. This is the 4th installment in this series about a girl who wishes to become a boy so that then she can have a bunch of gay sex. Yeah, that's the story. But if you guys are interested in that, go check it out, link in the description. At the very least, while I have my thoughts on the story, at the very least I always support Jobaru's artwork, and I support the yaoi army and just its ambitiousness with creating yaoi content. And yeah, that's it for the news. And that is it for this 3-in-1 video. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about any of the stuff I talked about, Grey's Anatomy, any of the media that I talked about, or any of the news stories that I just finished with. And as always, queer Fudanshi tries to share LGBTQ and BL Media through news, reviews, and good conversation. So let's get talking. Bye. I just now noticed my hair is messed up a little. But let's work with it. The story specifically follows David, I think his name is, I don't know. David, I was right. Ha. I know stuff. And that is it for this 3-in-1. I don't know how to use my hands.